everybody. It is Councilwoman Denise Wilkerson. And as many of you know, I am running for mayor and I am on this November's ballot. Tonight, I am coming before you to conduct a mail-in ballot process tutorial. Many of us are filling out the mail-in ballot or submitting our vote via a mail-in ballot for the very first time. There are lots of questions out there about how to complete the process. Where do you send it back in? What's safe, what's secure, what's not? And I am coming because I thought that it would be useful to share the information that I have. I know that knowledge is power, and I want to make sure that we're all empowered to get through this process successfully, because this is a critical election. And we know that it is imperative that our voices are heard and our votes are counted at both the national and the local level. And so here we are with this tutorial. I hope that you find it useful, and I'm going to jump right into it. So let me just share my screen with you very quickly. All right, there we go. So we're going to jump right into this and give me your feedback after it. So wherever you see this video posted, go ahead and put your comments in and let me know if you found this to be useful. So the first thing we want to talk about is that envelope that you get in the mail, your ballot. So many people are asking, what does it look like? Or I didn't receive it, or I'm not sure if I received it. Well, this is the envelope that you got in the mail weeks ago. And this, I want you to know what it looks like. You'll see here that there's information about our county clerk, Joanne Rajapi, and then it says official election mail. This is critical. This is what you are going to submit your vote with. So this is a very critical document. So go check your countertops, your mail, the counter where you leave all your mail, go there and check for this. If you don't have it, you need to call the Union County Clerk's office so that they can help you rectify that situation and make sure that your vote counts. Now, in that single envelope is all of this. There are 6 documents in there, or 6 pieces of things that will help you get through this process. And so we'll cover what those are. The first thing that's in there is an important notice from the county. It really acknowledges the fact that we're in the middle of a pandemic and this is a mostly mail-in ballot election. It's really critical that you understand what they're doing and why, and there's also information on how to reach out for help. The next thing that you have in there is a vote by mail instruction guide. It's really a short, brief guide that's in English and in Spanish. It's really easy to read and quick to get through, but we're gonna cover a couple of more steps in this session because I think there are things that this does not cover, but this is really useful, and I recommend that you take a few minutes to get through it and read through it. Now, this is it. This is your ballot. This is the thing that is probably the most. There are 3 critical things in this envelope, and this is one of them. This is where you actually select your candidates and answer those public questions that are critical for your legislators. And so this is your ballot. This other critical piece, so we talked about 3 pieces. So the first is your ballot. The second is this one, your certificate of mail-in voter. This is really how you certify that it's me, Denise Wilkerson, completing this ballot. You have to sign for it. This is an official document here. And so this envelope is very, very critical, okay? And we'll talk about that a little later on. And obviously the return envelope is the third important thing in here, because this is how you're gonna put all of that stuff in there, your ballot, your certificate of mail-in voter, they're all gonna go into this envelope, and this is what you're gonna send back to the Board of Elections. The last piece in the packet from Joanne Rajapi is information on where these secure ballot drop boxes are. And I am happy to say that we have one in Roselle, and I'm going to tell you where that is at the end of this tutorial. So hang tight. All right, so let's talk about how we can get ourselves set up to get through this process successfully. The first thing that I recommend is that you find a clean surface to work off of so you can lay all of these documents out. I'm recommending a dining room table. If you have an office with a desk in it, just really kind of clear everything off so that you can focus on these very critical documents. The other thing is that it is mandatory that you use either a black or a blue pen. The system that is going to scan these ballots can only read these types of pens. So black or blue. You cannot use red, you cannot use purple, you cannot use green. It must be a black or a blue pen. Pay attention, very critical, could cause your vote not to be counted. And if you have other voters in the house, I recommend you pull them together, and you guys work together to get through this process. A family that votes together is a family that changes the world together. And so I think it's a great combination to pull everybody together and get through the process together. And make sure there's enough space for everybody to lay out all of these documents that we're talking about here, okay? All right, let's get into the process of filling out our ballot. First thing you need to do is unfold the ballot, lay it out flat. And then this is what the front of the ballot looks like, the core of the front of the ballot. And so the top half here is the area where the general election candidates are. And so that's where you're going to find the president, the mayor. Those positions are listed here in the top section, which is kind of that red section. The bottom portion is where you will find the Board of Education candidates, and that's really that blue area on the bottom, and we'll get into both of these areas in a moment. So that's the layout of the ballot, the front of it. Then you need to flip it over. This is where the public questions are. These are really critical, and I do believe that data shows that people often miss the section for the public questions. And I believe they were missing it when we were voting in the booth. And you know that there's a high probability that they're probably going to get missed in this mail-in ballot process. So please take a moment and flip your ballot over and review these questions and try to answer them. All right, let's start filling out our candidates. I do want to kind of explain a little bit about the sections on this ballot. You'll see here on the far left are the office titles. So these are the positions that are up for voting. You'll have the presidential position, the United States Senator position, the congressional seat is here, member of House of Representatives. Your sheriff position, the Union County Sheriff position is up. You have the Union County Clerk position that is up. You have the Union County members of the Board of Chosen Freeholder positions that are up. And you also have the mayor position, which is up. The mayor's position is not traditional because we're voting to fill the vacancy or the unexpired term of former Mayor Christine Danzero. So these are the positions that are going to be on everyone's ballot. There are a couple of wards, the first and the third ward, where you will have a council candidate listed as well. But mostly everyone will see everything up until mayor. I do want to talk about the structure of the ballot. And so we talked about the office titles here. And I'm going to go right to the congressional seat, and you'll see here's the position. And on the right of that is a candidate that's going for that position. And so this is what each row looks like. It has the position, and the various people that are going for that specific title will be listed across this ballot in this very same row, okay? So you have the position and the people who are running for it. On the right side are all the columns going across. and people are scattered throughout all of this. It doesn't necessarily mean party only as a differentiator. It really is because they needed to lay out all of this ballot in one area that people are mixed in different areas, okay? Column C, you'll see me down there. Just wanted to point that out. Anyway, this is another section that no one really talks about. We talk about, knowledge is power. It's important to know all your options on this ballot. And one of the things that is, talked about very little is the personal choice. If there's someone in these columns and rows and you don't find anybody that fits what your needs are, you can write someone in. You can write in a name and that vote will be counted, okay? Just don't put in your pet name. No Coco's listed in this section, okay? All right, so let's go ahead. I want to show you how you have the ability to kind of vote across columns, right? We've heard for so long, vote column A all the way. It's a training, it's a conditioning that doesn't allow you to think for yourself. And so we talked about all of the positions that are listed here. I want you to review every person that is up for that position and choose the person that is right for you. And they may not be all in one column. And so in this example, you'll see that we've done two columns here. We've selected a choice from column A and from column C. So here you have the column A choices, and then we went to column C to make another choice. This is totally allowable. You totally have the right to choose across columns. Here's another option where we're choosing across 3 columns. So you can select some from A, one from B, one from C. You really have the ability to vote across columns. It will be counted. The only thing that you cannot do, sorry for that, the only thing you cannot do is to choose more than one person from a row. So you'll see here that I've chosen Joanne Rajapi for the Union County Clerk. I cannot go and select also the person in column B. You can only choose one person from a row. But other than that, you can really go across columns. Like this example, we're across 3 columns. We're making our choice and they will all be counted. Another option here is that you have the ability to choose from a column as well as add in a personal choice. So I can choose some people from column A, and then I can write someone in my personal choice, and that too will be counted. The rule of 1 person per row needs to be followed, but as long as you're doing that, your votes will be counted. So I hope this clears up that myth about your ability to vote across columns. You totally have the ability to do that. It's your ballot, you own it. All right, so now that we've completed our ballot choices, we've selected from the general election area, we are now going to move into the process of selecting our Board of Education candidates. This is that section. You have to choose up to 3 candidates from this area. And so you can go across these columns or you can even add in a personal choice. So the same rules apply that applied on the general election candidate section applies here on this Board of Education candidate section. Again, we talked about flipping over and answering those public questions. This is important because your legislators will make decisions based on your answer in this section. If you answer no, something is less likely to become a law. If you say yes, it's highly probable that your legislators will put something into law or make new policies at the state level. And so it's really critical that you answer these questions. I'm not going to prescribe, what you should do. I just want you to know that you have the option of yes or no. You have the option of yes or no in each of those questions. So take a moment and read through them Very critical because legislators use this to make decisions that impact your day-to-day life. All right, now that we've filled out the ballot, I've selected my general election candidates, I've selected my Board of Education candidates, and even answered the public question section. I'm gonna fold that ballot back up and I'm gonna get it ready for the certificate of mail-in voter envelope. All right, so here we are now, we're looking at the certificate of mail-in voter envelope. This is really, really critical. Again, this is how you certify that it's me, Denise Wilkerson, completing this ballot. And so it's really critical. It can determine whether or not your vote is actually counted. So it is important. So let's go into how you fill that out. The first section is where you're actually certifying. And it says, I, Denise Wilkerson, whose home address is 210 Chestnut Street in Roselle, do hereby certify, right, that I'm the voter. And then I have to put my signature here. This is very, very critical because they are taking the signature that you put on this certificate of mail-in voter envelope and comparing it to what they have at the Board of Elections. And in some cases, I know, in fact, someone right now who've already submitted their ballot, and they said that they got a letter back saying that the signature does not match. They're going to the Board of Elections to clear it up so that their vote can be counted. So if you get a letter like that, make sure you rectify it immediately so your vote can be counted. If it doesn't match, it will be thrown out. I believe we had over 100 ballots thrown out in the primary election, and potentially this is one of the reasons why that happened. So pay close attention to that. The other thing I want to point out is this is a section where we blocked it out for the demonstration, but it's a name and address. And so for families that have multiple voters in a house, it is really critical that you make sure the person over here that is putting their name here and signing here matches the person on this envelope. So don't allow dad to fill out the section for mom's envelope. So when you're sitting together at the table, make sure you're clear about who documents belong to who so that the information is being signed correctly, because that will definitely cause the signature not to match, okay? The next section on this is critical because if anyone is helping you complete that ballot and walking you through it and telling you which person, well, they shouldn't be telling you who to vote for, but if they are walking you through the process, explaining it, they need to put their name down for a reason so that the county can keep track of that in case anything is fishy is going on. So make sure that if anyone helps you, that they are actually putting their signature, their name is printed, and their address is printed on this envelope. So that's pretty much how you complete the certificate of mail-in voter envelope. It is so critical. It is very critical. Now that we've completed that certificate of mail-in voter envelope, what you're looking at is that envelope opened. You will go ahead and put your ballot inside of that envelope, and then you go and seal it. It must be sealed. They want to make sure that it's sealed so that no one's getting to your ballot after you get to it, okay? Now, once you have that certificate of mail-in voter envelope completed and sealed with your ballot inside, then you put all of that inside of this return envelope. This return envelope is very critical. You know that it's a no postage necessary, so you don't need to find yourself any stamps. But it's critical because it's how it's received, it's how it's put through the mail. You should not be putting that previous envelope through the mail. This is the one that goes into the mailbox, okay? And so what you see on the back of it is a place for you to print your name and address. It's very critical that you do that because you are the voter. It is the return address in case anything happens. And so it's imperative that you fill this out. And then you go ahead and put your ballot inside and you seal it and you're ready to rock and roll and to get that thing in the mail. There you go. So I just want to continue to show you, you need to fill that out. Now, if anyone is carrying your ballot, this envelope, to the mailbox, to the drop box, to the Board of Elections on your behalf, they need to fill this section out. Okay, it's very imperative that that is done. There are cases where people said that they filled this out, and even though they were the one carrying it, they put their own name down. That's okay. I don't think that gets it kicked out. But if someone else is carrying it, you really do need them to fill this section out. And here you'll see how it's done. So they need to put their signature, print their name, and their mailing address. Very critical if someone else is carrying your ballot to the mailbox. Okay, so that's really the process. We talked about how to fill what's in your packet from the Union County Clerk. We talked about what's the ballot layout. We talked about how to make your selections and how you get to own your ballot. And you have options to choose across columns. And we also talked about how to prepare it to send off. So now let's talk about where you're going to put it. You can actually put your ballot, your return envelope, in this secure drop box in front of the Roselle Library, which is at 104 West 4th Avenue in Roselle. It's under 24/7 surveillance, so it is very secure. They pick it up daily, is my understanding. So this is in front of the Roselle Library on 4th Avenue. You could also take it directly to the Board of Elections in Elizabeth at 271 North Broad Street. You can do that. I did that with one of my teenagers as we tested the process in June, and it worked out pretty well. And of course, you can send it to any post office. I recommend you do that right away because you don't want to have any issues with the mail, okay? Now, some people are concerned and don't want to go through the mail-in process. And I get a question, I keep getting the question, will there be any polling places open on election day? Yes, there will be a few polling places. There's going to be one polling place per ward. So in the first ward, Warren Acres Sports Center is actually going to be the polling place. Oak Park won't be open or available to First Ward residents. Harrison Avenue will not be available to, Harrison School won't be available to First Ward residents, only Warren Acres Sports Center. If you're a Second Ward resident, Harrison Avenue School is available to you only. If you are in the Third Ward, you can go to Abraham Clark High School and vote. If you are in the Fourth Ward, Washington School on Washington Avenue is available to you and you only, all Fourth Ward. And Fifth Ward residents can vote at L.V. Moore School on Locust Street. Okay, very critical that you know where you need to go. But when you get there, you will not be using the machine. I highly recommend that you go through the mail-in process, but the choice is yours. It's your vote, your process, your ballot, you own all of it. So ultimately the decision is yours. And these are the polling places that will be available to you on election day, okay? So that's the tutorial. I hope you found it very useful. If you have any questions, feel free to kind of post them wherever this video is posted, or call me or email me. I can help you through the ballot process and the selection process. By law, I'm not allowed to do so, but this kind of information, I'm happy to share because it is very general, and I'm allowed to do that. So again, I hope you found this useful. I hope it helps you get through the process. This is a critical election, and it is critical that your vote is counted. And remember, the ballot is yours. You own it. No one knows what you're doing. No one has the right to tell you what to do. And that old cliche of column A all the way is not going to work. We're smarter than that. We are in the business of choosing who is right for us at every level of government. It's time for change. It's time for us to move forward in every area in this country, whether it be from Washington all the way down to Roselle. So anyway, thank you. I thank you so much. Don't forget, send me any questions you have about this presentation. I'm happy to answer them. Thank you, and God bless you.